We are first off, welcome back to a new episode of To Live and Bike in LA. Subscribe to my Patreon. You know what to do. I need it. You're not doing it, but you know what to do. Some of you have, a lot of you haven't, and I'm looking at you. Go subscribe to the Patreon. We're about to have Lucas O'Neill on the show, a New York comedian, fellow Mainer. We started out in Maine together and then both had different journeys. He went to Chicago. I went to Boston. He ended up in New York. I ended up here. Just waiting for him to join the show. This one is coming out today, recording this right now. And it will be out probably about an hour and a half from now. I kind of like that, you know. We've been ahead sometimes, and I've had episodes ready a week or two beforehand. That's always good. But I also like the immediacy of, you're hearing this the day we talked about it. So anything we talk about today, it will be relevant to you and going on. And just to know it's closer, which I would like to, there's some ways to do it. Things are happening. It's closer to like live radio, and I would love to have a live radio call in format like this, but where you don't have to do commercials or anything. I think that would be really cool. But anyways, Lucas O'Neill is going to be on the show. He's a very hilarious comic. I think he's been going back up to Maine a little bit during COVID and doing shows, outdoor ones there. But I don't know if he is in New York or in Maine. We'll find out. As soon as he joins us here, I'm going to make sure I sent the email to the right person. God damn it, Lucas, where are you? Oh, nope. He is a usually very punctual person, but I might have sent. I'll have to check. This is all great on-air stuff for you guys to hear. And these are, also I want to tell you, we have some great shows coming up. Some great shows coming up. A professional skiing power duo will be joining us. A comedian, I'm not going to say his name yet because he'll be on eventually, but I don't want to promise anything next week. But a bigger, long-time legend in comedy. He said, great. Internet's being weird. 1 second. That is from Lucas. He did just recently do, a few weeks back, my outdoor show. I have a live stand-up comedy outside show with Mr. Jay Light, who's been on the show before. And the comedian we'll be having on the podcast did do that as well. And then something really cool coming up it'll be out mid-December. It's a two-parter, a before and after of a good friend of mine who's doing something really cool right now. And I can't wait for you guys to hear that. I can't tell you anything about it because I don't want to get anybody in trouble. But when it does come out, it will be awesome. And it'll be awesome to hear both sides of it, the before and the after. Can't wait for that. So we're just going to pause for a second while we wait for Lucas O'Neill to join us. Hello.
Yo.
What is up? Perfect. Gave me just enough time. I didn't have to re-record or like put in an intro later on. I was just able to record it right here. And so it's like editing in camera. It's all ready to go.
Perfect. I'm glad to know it's that easy.
Are you on your phone?
This is an iPad because the computer is being weird. What do you?
Okay.
You want a better?
I was going to say turn it sideways. It'll be a better view. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, we're gonna have to heighten that though.
Oh yeah, you got to just set up on something. Are you in a closet?
Yeah, I'm in a closet. Yeah, it's a closet. It's a closet, and you'd think I had enough time. You'd think I had enough time to set it all up. Put
Are
this
you
all
in
in here.
New
Keep it
York or
all in here.
Maine?
Yeah, I'm in New York right now. That's
Oh,
why.
nice.
That's why a closet is
Yeah.
an office.
Yeah, you're like, this is actually where I live. I'm paying $1,700 a month for this closet.
Yeah, yeah. It's a steal. Great neighborhood though. You know, great neighborhood. I love getting out and not going to any of the cute shops that are nearby.
What part of
And
town are you
because
in?
I'm in Bed-Stuy. I'm like sort of
Oh,
at
okay.
the. This is my first Zoom. I've never Zoomed. No. Do
Is
you
that for real, or are you joking around because you're a
I'm
kidder?
joking. No,
Okay.
I'm joking and I'm joking. I'm joking and those are the kinds of jokes that we're really gonna lean
Hmm.
into. Oh.
Have you done
Shit.
shows? I've only done a few shows for like the Comedy Studio
Wait, so where are you?
Zoom shows. I'm in LA.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we've been
Um,
here about a little over 2 years now,
yeah, no.
close to two and a
Yeah,
half.
I remember. I remember that. I have done. Yeah, I've done some Zoom shows. I've done a couple of outdoor shows. I was in Maine for a little bit. By the way, is this audio only or are we doing video?
I put video up on YouTube too, usually, unless somebody has explicit reasons not to.
Wow. I need to make this right. You know what I mean? I need it
Oh,
to
it's
be
fine.
better.
It's fine. It looks great. It'll be perfect.
So I want to make sure I'm looking at
I
kind of
think
making eye
even
contact with you. Do you know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah, I don't worry about that.
Oh,
But
okay.
I think even the people who listen to it on YouTube, I think there are some people that just use YouTube for an audio thing, so they like put it
Oh, that's
on
true. Yeah.
in the background just to listen to it. Um, yeah. So you're in New York. You
So
went
yeah,
up to
I've
Maine
done.
though for shows.
Oh yeah. I mean, I went up to Maine. I mean, I was just there for a while. I mean, so when the outbreak began, I was actually in Knoxville, Tennessee, and and then I was on the road with a comic named Trey Kennedy, and it was fun. We were doing some fun shows,
Nice.
and then they were like, "Yeah, we should stop doing these for sure." And
So it was like
so I
right at
did
the
like,
beginning of March or something.
yeah, this is like March 8th or March
Hmm.
9th or something. And so we got back to New York, and I got back to New York, and I was just reading the news. I was like, this could be bad. So my girlfriend and I, we went to Maine, and we were there for kind of 7 months. And
Oh really?
we own, yeah, yeah, yeah. Because it kind of it was like, how it is in Maine. It's like you
Yeah.
get there in March, and you're like, well, this is winter. We went back in time, and it's winter. And then it becomes summer, and you're like, well, I don't need to be in New York.
Yeah.
We're not much is happening. There's some outdoor shows that's very fun, but I can do a couple here, and then we came back probably like 2 weeks ago. So
Oh no
yeah,
shit. So yeah, because I'd seen pictures and stuff, and it looked like you were up in Maine a lot at least, but I didn't know you were there. I mean, it totally makes sense. There was no reason to necessarily be back and just to have like fucking less freedom to move around and shit.
yeah, like it's we had like a yard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you just like, and the thing people don't tell you, by the way, about yards is like truly kids are always on it. Like I
Yeah.
get why you got to yell and get them off. Like that's a cliche, but truly that's like you got to do it.
Oh yeah, we
They're
used to fuck
everywhere.
up this dude's yard with it was his yard was right next to the Grange Hall or the Grange Hall in Harrison,
Uh-huh.
and we would set up a rail so it went like street to his yard, and we would set up this rail to like grind on our skateboards and stuff on it, and we would just fall off it and tear up all the grass on his yard until he would come running out and yell. And he was like 32. He was a young
Right,
guy. He didn't
old.
want to have
No,
to
he's old.
yell.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, for us he was old, but now I
yeah.
just realized like I don't want to go yell at a 14-year-old.
I'm just honestly, I hear that and I just go, I'm so proud of that 32-year-old man that he stood up for himself. Like that's that's where I'm at
Yeah.
in my life. Where I'm like, wow, that probably took some like, yeah, he had to really build up to that and be like, yeah, they're not my kids, but this isn't right. Uh,
And
I
he
also
definitely,
just
I
love,
think, like asked nice a couple times, and then we took it to a place where he's like just had to come out and yell at us.
yeah, I mean, I had to do that with a couple of the neighbor kids. So they were just like, there's a path behind the little house. And I'm like, yeah, that's like not your property. So like, please don't bike on that. Just, I'm sorry. Cause you'll get hurt and then I'm gonna be that's the problem for me. If you get hurt. And there was like construction happening around there, and I was like, sorry, no, please.
Is this in
Um,
South Portland?
no, so this is in the mid coast, Maine. My family
Oh,
has
okay.
like a little cabin, like on a lake, a camp.
Yeah.
And so that's why we were able to like stay that long, because we had
Nice.
our own space
Yeah, I was
separate.
gonna say, were you with your parents that long or not? But you grew up in South Portland, right?
Yeah, yeah, I did.
Because you said path behind your house, and I was thinking you live by that Greenbelt path
Uh,
in South Portland, one of
kind
my
of.
favorites. But that was probably built when you were a kid, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we were next to Hinkley Park.
Okay.
Um, yeah, which is a park. I'm sure a lot of listeners here are big fans of that
Oh no,
space.
it's all because I mean we do. I talk about biking some and some not, but definitely talk about very specifics of riding in places. And I think some people know what they're talking about because they are listening in Maine, and or they look up this stuff because we've talked like specific streets where people got hit in Los Angeles on bikes and stuff. And I think it's just a fun thing to be like, let me look up exactly where that is and look at the street view and shit. But
Yeah,
Hinkley Park, I
that's
saw an osprey catch a fish in Hinkley Park one time. Just like walked up on one of those ponds and out of nowhere, just boom, takes off with the
yeah.
fish right when we got there.
Oh man, nature. You know what I
It's
mean?
great.
It's great. I mean, you've already alluded to the fact here. It's like you've said sentences that a young me would have just dreamed of being able to speak. Like we were grinding on rails. My friends and I were like tearing up. It's like even. I mean, you were a cool kid. You were a
Mm,
cool like. Well, but in that it's. I feel like in that way that when you are an adult and you're like, oh look, someone was a skateboarder. I'm always like, that's very cool.
oh yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like that's a
I
cool
think it's
thing
cool.
to
Yeah,
do.
but in the school, we were
Not,
the losers or whatever. Yeah. Our
of
school was big
course.
in football and stuff, and they would always like. I didn't really care, and I knew like a lot of people in my class, like they might like say shit to me, but I would just say shit back to them, and nobody like beat me up or anything. But definitely, like even the coaches would come out, and we'd be skating outside of the school, and they'd be like, "That leads to drugs. You're gonna fucking ruin your life." And then you're like, "Your guys are on steroids right now."
Yeah, right now.
Oh yeah.
I, do you think that to me, or maybe you've talked about this? I just feel like there's such a link between like creativity and skateboarding, and because it is you learn work ethic, and you
Yeah.
learn like you learn that you have to fail a bunch of times before
Hmm.
you can succeed at something, and no one is telling you how to do it, really. You're
Yeah.
learning by association, which is like similar to stand up, right?
Yeah.
You show up to the place where people are doing it.
Yeah.
Maybe you got a pal, uh, and then you learn. Whereas like so many other sports, it's like football. It's like, are you big and strong? Then I will tell you what to do, and you can get really good. I mean, there's
Yeah.
creativity in those sports, but not in the way of
But also, there's
establishing
nobody.
it.
If you quit skateboarding, nobody cares. Like stand up,
No,
nobody cares but you that you do it. Where if you're like a big, strong guy in high school, the coaches are gonna like try and recruit you onto the team and get you to do and like do everything they can to keep you in it and keep doing it. And yeah, stuff like stand up or skateboarding, it's like quit all you want. Nobody cares.
nobody cares.
Yeah.
Better if you quit. Frankly, yeah. That's
It's also a
that's
in like, and I think this is probably why I took to those sports more like that and like doing freestyle skiing and stuff was it is creative in the way of like you're putting together like a run or learning to do tricks that aren't like getting a ball in a hoop type thing. Although a little bit they are, but it's also like how you do it. Do you look cool doing it? Do you have good style
Mhm,
and stuff? It's making so there
mhm.
is that artistic element to stuff like that.
And there's just like you try to capture it too, right? I mean, you guys must have spent time like videotaping your
Yeah.
stuff, right?
Oh yeah, more so in skiing and skateboarding. We would do a lot of that, but then we got drawn towards the like CKY jackass type skateboarding stuff. So we would involve
Gotcha.
skateboarding and doing something dumb or shitty to people.
And did you go to Bonnie Eagle or where were you?
No, Oxford Hills.
Oh, Oxford Hills. Oh,
Yeah. No, no, a little further out from the city.
okay. Further out,
Yes.
further out than
Um,
Bonnie
but
Eagle.
were you growing up riding bikes around South Portland? Was that because for me, you seem like so much more of a city place to live. And then also you have the biggest city, which still is admittedly a tiny city, relatively, but when you grow up in Maine, it's the biggest city right across the
Right.
bridge. Were you like, did you go from not being able to do anything to being able to bike and go further away from home and shit?
I mean, in theory, I mean, but no.
But
I
you didn't
mean,
do any of that?
well, you know, truly, I was raised so, I was so sheltered, right?
Really?
I genuinely would say I was bunkered. Like it was not, it was, I, I could go some places, you know.
Yeah.
My dad used to have this, the idea that I could just get on a bike and like go with my friends is not, it's a dream to me of
Up
that kind of
until
freedom.
up until what age? Through like getting a
I
car
mean,
even and stuff?
when I was able to drive a car, things shifted.
Mhm.
Um, but no, I mean, I can remember being 14 and just like my dad had this rule where at any point in time, I had a cell phone. It was very early. Must have been like I had one. And I didn't like it. I had it in my backpack because I was embarrassed that I had it because it was basically a tracking device. My dad would
Yeah.
he could call me at any time and be like, go to the nearest landline as a way to prove where I was. This he like that's the type of sort of authoritarian style
And what
that
he
he
would
brought
have
up.
like he had a caller ID at home so
Oh yeah,
you
oh
could
yeah,
prove.
so we can verify. He'd be like, "Oh,
And
do you want it? Do you
it
it?"
was your dad that was the protective one or were they both?
Here's the thing. I think my dad used my mom's anxiety as a cover for his. So I think they both were anxious. But my dad would
Mhm.
be like, "Listen, buddy, your mom, you know, your mom doesn't feel like it's safe." And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, is my mom masterminding these checks and balances on my freedom? No, I don't think so. You know. So I did. I mean, I biked a little bit, right? Like some mountain biking, like because there were like some trails and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But I've never been that aggressive. I mean, I just like, and I think like mountain biking requires some level of like confidence that you're not going to fall. I feel like I was like way fearful of falling.
Really? Yeah. I mean it does I don't know. I guess I just there is if you're not like I get real sturdy on a bike, possibly yes, but there's easy mountain biking, but
Oh
I
yeah,
think of the level that you kind of like go like, oh well, of course I'm, if it's just flat dirt, I'll be fine. But if somebody's like, hey, I never even did that, so just being out on dirt is a little different for me.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but that's so interesting, the shelteredness.
I mean, I could bike to destinations, right? Like a friend's house.
Yeah,
You know what I
you ever
mean?
bike to
But
school?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
occasionally. But also
Uh,
like I didn't walk to school, and the school
no,
was right. I mean, right there.
like
But
South Portland High. Is that where you went?
no, so I went to. I mean, like our elementary school. Like
Oh,
my
okay.
elementary school is probably a 10-minute walk,
Yeah,
and
and you
like
never walked to school.
no, no, and it's so uncomfortable to be in a car passing your friends walking.
Yeah.
I think you see them, and you're like, "I'll see you guys in a few." I'm escorted,
Uh,
uh, like like I'm a diplomat, in like a hostile country or something.
And would you?
Um,
I mean, you felt that way, but would you actively fight back, or are you just like they're bigger battles? You just kind of gave
okay,
into
I
that's
think
how it was.
I did. Yeah, I
Yeah.
did. And in part because I had an older sister and she followed the rules. And
Ah.
so like she wasn't like blazing a trail for me, really,
Hmm.
pushing it. Um, she wasn't sort of pushing the sort of progressive agenda. So then when I come through, it
Yeah.
seems more centrist. I I think no. I think my dad once said to me, I'll never forget this. He said, "Never lie to me, because if you do, I'll find out." And I,
And you thought
you
that was
know,
gospel?
I thought it was gossip, and because he had this way of like, I'd go out for like lunch or something with some friends, and then he would like that night he would be like, "Hey, Mr. Bryant said he saw you down at blah blah blah," and I'd be like, are these paid informants? It just he had this way of convincing me through little anecdotal, like little things, that he
Yeah.
had a complete view of the world. So no, I didn't rebel. The most rebellious thing about me, probably in my teen years, is that I never rebelled at all. Except once I got a car, then I never was home. I would always, I would always be at someone else's house for dinner. I just
Yeah.
sort of stopped. You just sort of go, yeah, well, I'll just be with this other family. I'll be with a girlfriend's family. Great.
Yeah.
They got different rules,
Yeah,
and they
because
don't
they're
have the
cool.
jurisdiction over me.
They're cool if I'm at a place and like
Mm-hmm.
I can at least get away. Yeah, I was like that very much, not because my parents were very strict, and they were actually, I think, pretty done with parenting by the time I got to high school,
Right.
because I was the youngest and my oldest brother was 9 years older than me. So like the
Yeah.
time that they had been parents for like 25 years, and they were
And
like,
that's
we
too long.
weren't. Yeah, it's too long. So by the time I got to high school, they didn't really care. But I knew if I was home, because it was a farm, I would be asked to do shit. I would
Yeah.
always, I didn't have free time. If I was at home and not doing like my homework or something I needed to do, I couldn't just be there
No.
without them giving me something to do. And so then yeah, as soon as I could get away, I'd be like, I'm never going to be here. Like as much as possible, I'm not going to be home.
No. I've always felt now I did not grow up on a farm. You grew up in like an actual farm.
Yeah.
Yeah. What, like livestock, vegetables, produce?
Uh,
What was it?
it was, I mean, we did a little like, vegetable farming. We had
Yeah.
just a small by farm standards,
Yeah.
place where we grew everything from carrots to corn and shit. And then it started out as a Angora rabbit farm when we first built it. Because my mom was a spinner and she would make yarn and shit with all of there was like 30 rabbits or something. You have to like brush them all in the yarn, sell it for a lot. And then we got sheep, and we had a bunch of sheep and goats, and same thing for selling the wool and making yarn and shit. And then as my dad started to do better with work and we didn't really need to like make money
Mm.
off of the farm, my mom got horses, and we kept a few of the sheep and a few of the goats, and we always had chickens too, so we always had eggs. And we would, like, during the sheep years, we would have turkeys and chickens all summer that we would slaughter to eat throughout the winter. And same thing with the lambs that are born, the males you got to take to the butcher and stuff. So it's very much like we got a lot of food out of it. We sold the eggs and sold the wool and shit, so it kind of would make it break even, and it made sense to have the farm. But then once, yeah, my dad did better with his work, my mom was like, I want to ride horses.
Yeah. Yeah. And trying to make a farm profitable is really, really hard.
Profitable,
I mean,
yeah.
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 I mean, like just running it is
Yeah.
hard. Uh, oh, that's cool. I did not grow up on a farm, and even still, it felt like there was always, if I was home, like my dad was, he was his own, he was his own boss. He like had his own business, and I feel like because of that, we were also employees.
Yep.
Like at any point in time, it could just be like, "Hey, I'm gonna need you to work the weekend," and you know, I know it's Saturday, but this needs to get done, and you're the
Would
guy.
you
This is in your
would you make
portfolio.
anything for it? Would they pay you?
Um, I did. I sometimes, yeah, there was a stretch of time I got an allowance.
Yeah.
Um, it's $2 a week. It's pretty good,
Two?
honestly. Yeah, Is that bad? I've
It depends how old
I've
were
had
you? 17? That's not great.
yeah, it's still now. He still sends me $2 a week. He puts it in the Venmo, but no, I don't know, it's like 11. I mean,
Um,
inflation. You're right. It wasn't 1938. It was
no, that's not like I got a sandwich and a Coke and went to the movies. It's like I
I put
got
a down payment on my house.
one Pepsi Big Slam.
Yeah, which I wasn't allowed to have. That much sugar probably.
Yeah, I've always said that I was a child slave because the shit that we did on the farm, we didn't get paid for any of the farm shit.
No,
Never.
no.
Um, and then when we all left, they just got machines to do the shit that we would usually, like they bought a tractor, they got a snow plow, like all the shit that we did. They're like, once we were not there to do it, they're like, well, we'll get, machines to replace the slaves. And the whole time too, we were like, could we get a tractor to do this? Like we would have to shovel out like the stalls of the sheep and stuff. And
Yeah.
they're like, it was like 3 stalls that were like the size of my bedroom. And they would just fill up over the year with they'd shit. And then you put hay down, fresh hay over it. And they would pack it down. And then come summertime, you got to clear that all out. And we just have to do pitchforks and break it up and shovel it all into the back of the truck, and then take the truck and go drive around the pasture, shoveling it out onto the pasture as manure for the, the grass and shit. And then as soon as we all left, they just got a tractor and they do it in like a half a day, where it would take us
Yeah,
like
but didn't
2 weekends in a row.
Didn't you learn something though? Didn't you learn something?
I learned that that even when they
Automation's
would
real.
pay us, they would pay us for like normal farm chores and stuff. It wouldn't. But if they needed, if like they had to rent us for the weekend and be like, you can't, do whatever you want to do this weekend.
Right,
We
they
need
buy
you
your
to.
time.
Yeah. Another thing we had to do was always during the summer load hay, and you'd have to go get a wagon of hay from the farm next door and bring it, and then load it all into the hayloft. They would pay us. Our wages were based on our age. That's what I found out, is they're discriminists. They're age discriminists, because I would always get paid the least, and I would be out there just as long with everybody else doing it.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That's what I learned.
Yeah. You learned about ageism. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing, you become very aware of age dynamics and gender dynamics through the chores in the house pretty quickly. Because there is definitely like, it snowed. It snows in Maine. It snows a lot. Not as much as it used to, but it snows a lot. And my sister never had to shovel. And highly capable person, physically strong. They used to always
An
be like,
athlete?
was
she an athlete?
She never really, she was a dancer. So yes, she was like,
boom.
But she was not in, she didn't do organized sports. She didn't really like vibe.
But I'm saying a physically fit person.
Yeah.
Light on her feet. She's good if it's slippery.
Absolutely. But again, strong. Like we used to remark how strong she was. And then I'd be like, well, how about you? You know what's heavy? Snow.
Yeah.
We didn't, now she gets to sleep. I'm still upset about it, honestly. But it was gender roles, and then I was like, great, you're doing this. Yeah. It's like, all right.
Yeah, we had a lot. It was just all brothers, so we never had any of that.
Yeah.
It was just all ageism. Are you biking at all in New York now that you've lived there?
Yeah.
One, how do you like it? How long have you been in New York now?
I've been in New York. Wow, I think it's 2 years now. Yeah.
Nice. Oh, yeah. So it was right about, you know what? I think the last time we maybe saw each other was in Maine. I think right when maybe you had moved to New York and I had moved to LA. We did like the Laugh Shack or something, and we'd both you had moved from Chicago to there, right?
Yeah, I moved from I was in Chicago for 4 years and till 2018, and then in the fall of 2018 I moved to New York.
Yeah.
I like it. I mean, I like it more than I thought I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Biking here is good. I like biking here in Brooklyn. Manhattan is sort of its own sort of beast. Yeah. But like A lot of my biking is like around, Brooklyn and Queens and stuff. And there's like bike lanes. I mean, the fact in Chicago, I loved biking in Chicago, but like, though we don't have a lot of bike lanes. I mean, you are
Yeah,
just like out there. The roads are wider.
roads are wider, and the one thing that makes Chicago a pretty good biking city is everything is flat. It is fucking
Yeah,
flat everywhere.
yeah. No, I mean you and I ride a fixed gear, so it's like
Oh, nice.
you don't have to, you never worry about that. You just jam away,
So
and
you have, after this sheltered life, you've gone into
yeah,
now like embrace this, because not a lot of people ride fixed gear. I did for a long
yeah,
time, and then
yeah,
I just switched to a mountain bike for out here because the roads are fucking terrible. Even when
yeah,
even in like Hollywood, there's potholes and shit all over the place. But
yeah,
fixed gear is difficult in a city to, once you figure it out, it almost seems better because it keeps you more alert. You have to be
yep,
paying attention a lot more to what you're doing, but it's tough at first to get the concept of my legs are always moving and they're
yep,
controlling me more than my hands or brakes or anything like that.
yeah. No, I think so. Yeah, that is the evolution, right? It's like I never really did any of this stuff, and then when I was outside of the house, once I moved out, like in college, I was like, oh, you can like do a lot of stuff. I should just do stuff,
Yeah.
especially in the outdoors. And I think so. I started biking, started like road biking. I led bike tours for teenagers for this company. 2 years in college, like my junior, yeah, sophomore and junior, I led a trip down the Pacific coast a couple of times.
No
So
shit.
like these like yeah, yeah, yeah. So we would, load up, and these obviously this wasn't fixed. Though
Yeah.
we did, when we were on this trip, we did see someone who was riding a fixed gear bike all down the Pacific coast.
Damn.
Um that is insane.
Yeah.
Uh that is insane. But yeah, so I would lead, me and another 21-year-old would lead these like 15 and 16 and 17-year-olds on this trip, and we went from Eugene, Oregon to San Francisco twice, two different
Ooh,
groups.
that's a great
Yeah,
fucking ride too. And like pretty secluded, a lot of it. It's not in the busier areas of like the one or whatever.
well, but we went on the one. I mean,
Yeah.
there's some
No, I just
beautiful, I
mean
mean,
the one south of San Francisco gets a lot busier. North
yes,
of San
yeah,
Francisco, it's a lot more secluded areas and shit.
yeah, yeah. It's beautiful. It's some of the most
Yeah.
beautiful biking I've ever done. And it's also the hardest job I've ever done. Kids are always trying to die. That's like, they're always, is there a thing that could be safer or less safe? It's less safe.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, oh man, that was wow. But I got into biking, and then I discovered fixed gear, and that seems so cool, specifically LA, because it was like I started finding all these videos of like alley cat races and like
Yeah.
these sort of just these bikes taking over city streets at night,
Yeah.
and the mix of like performance and aesthetics and the personalization of the bikes like thrilled me. I was like, wow, that is very cool.
And the other thing I like is the
Um,
simplicity of it is
oh
so much
man,
less to maintain with a fixed gear.
yeah, and that's part of it too. It's like the geometry of the bike is aesthetically pretty. Like
Yeah.
like the simplicity of it is beautiful, and like the theory of it that you're like, oh, when the bike is always moving, I am always moving, like just made sense. And even when I started to ride it, I was like, oh, this feels actually more natural. Like I'm more in
Yeah.
tune with the bike.
Yeah.
Um, and then switching back to like road bikes when I'm home and I'm riding a road bike feels bizarre.
Yeah. You kind of what it makes you do is, and this is how so the fixed gear that I first got, that I learned on, it was one of the rims you could switch around, and so you could have
Yep. Yeah.
regular whatever it's called, in not crank, but I don't know.
Freewheel. Yeah.
Yeah, freewheel in the back, or you could flip it around and have fixed gear. And I would to practice, I would be like, I'm gonna ride 10 miles and try to never stop pedaling, and think
Mm-hmm.
so even if I'm going down a hill and I'm going faster than I can pedal, I'm still just going to always keep my legs moving
Yeah.
and see if I can do 10 miles like that and back. And then after a while, this is what I went with, like, because they're less to maintain, is when the first bike that I got that was like that, I was like, eventually I want to flip it to fixed gear. And I just waited until I had worn the brake pads down to, I was either going to have to get new brake pads or figure out fixed gear. And so I was like, oh, it's time. Let's just flip it around. And then
Listen,
eventually
the
I think I
universe
did
speaks.
get one. I think I might have gotten a front brake again, but I definitely
Yeah,
rode a long time in Boston with no brakes, just the fixed gear.
yeah. I think I have a front brake now because you just have enough moments that are close, and
Yeah.
you go, "Yep, I'm just gonna have it. I'm just gonna have it,"
Yeah.
because it skidding is fun, but and that's what I try to rely on. But you, some car just pops out, or someone you need that extra help.
Yeah.
What are you riding? So you're riding a mountain bike right now?
Yeah. I got a Trek, like 21 speed
Uh,
that I got it secondhand. But it's been great for out here, but it definitely slows you. Like on a road bike, you can go, like, there are some great rides you can do, because we live in Santa Monica now, and we could just go right
oh,
to the
cool.
PCH and
Oh
up
God,
to
yeah,
Malibu and stuff. But it's like on the mountain bike, the trails and stuff around here are really cool too. So it's nice to be able to ride on the streets and stuff, but then also be like, I could take it up into one of the trails or the state parks or something. But
yeah. Is it easy to get out to places like with the mount? Like, are there a lot of mountain bike trails like easily accept? You could just bike from where you are.
yeah. There's
Cool.
tons. Like all of the Hollywood Hills, all of the Santa Monica Mountains. The only place you can is Griffith Park. You're not allowed to
Right,
ride a
right.
bike on the trails, but all of the hills in between here in the valley, and then on the other side of the valley, it's all mountains and stuff too, and it's some of the best like mountain bike trails, probably in the country, other than like the Rockies and stuff, because
Wow.
it's like warm enough that you can always ride them. They're a lot wider open dirt trails, but you can get as crazy as you want, and it's a big culture of it out here to have like
That's
there's tracks and stuff. um so I like that a lot. But uh you know, if with a road bike, from here, from the ocean to like Silver Lake is 12
yeah.
miles, and without traffic, which is basically what you're dealing with a bike and a road bike, that would be pretty easy and a time saver that you can actually do. And I've done it on the mountain bike before, but you're just so much slower on the mountain bike
Oh
that it
yeah.
doesn't quite make it. But I'll ride, especially before we had a car and things were normal and I was doing shows, I would ride to the metro, take it on the metro across town, and then get off and ride 5 miles to the show, and then ride back to the metro and take it back home. And it was like, it's going to be the exact same time to drive there, except I'm not
Amazing.
going to have to worry about parking and
Yep.
or my car getting broken into or anything. And if I have a drink or two, I don't have to worry about getting pulled over or anything like that. And so in that way, like, people don't think of LA as a good biking city at all. But like when you utilize the metro and a bike, it makes it the same as driving pretty much.
Wow. Plus, it's better. I just feel like
Better for
bikes
you,
are
yeah,
better.
and for in
Yeah,
general, yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's better. I just find myself so much calmer if
Oh,
I
yeah.
bike a place than drive a place. It's always better. There with my whenever I've worked a job and I've gotten to, and I bike like the summer after I graduated college, I like bike to work every day. I did not hate going to work. I was like, this is great. I got a bike ride. It's nice.
Yeah.
Now
I like
you
even
got to
coming home, or
master.
like coming home from
Oh
sets,
yeah,
having that time to just think about, your sets or whatever, what you did. And just like, I would look forward to those ride homes. Cause sometimes it would be like 2 a.m. and I'd be leaving the Improv and there's nobody on the roads or anything. And you're just
yeah.
like, oh, I got a 30-minute bike home. It's warm out. This will be fun.
Uh, so I'm just thinking about that. That those any sort of commute home after a show when it's quiet, when a city is like quieter than normal. It's like I miss that. I
Yeah.
miss that now.
I
That
like it
like
within the cities. I hated the going from like Boston back up to Portland at like
oh yeah, no,
midnight.
that's
And you gotta
trash.
fucking drive, because that stretch of road too. You just knew, like, even once I crossed the line into Maine, it's that stretch from like Kennebunk to get to like Saco that you're just like, oh, why won't this get over quicker?
Absolutely. You get into Maine and you think I've done it, and you haven't.
No.
You haven't done it. The worst part's ahead. I can remember because I mean, we started in Maine, and it's like you just when you start, you just go, oh, I'll go wherever, and just driving. I would drive an hour and 45 minutes to Manchester, New Hampshire. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Do 5 minutes,
Yep.
and then drive an hour and 45 minutes back, and I would do that and be like, that was the best way. I mean, if the set went well, that hour 45,
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Set goes bad, it's a nightmare. And it is. And also, of course, like the more you do stand up, the more you're like, yeah, okay, an hour and 45-minute drive after a show is no longer fun. But in the beginning, you're just happy to be doing it at all.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But
I remember
yeah,
doing drives to Boston and getting to do 2 sets in one night. And it was like, I'm fucking doing this. I'm going down. I'm driving to like none of the, like, cause half the people in Portland, Maine, who we started with have either quit or are still in Portland and didn't even, nothing, some have nothing against them or anything, but didn't even have that ambition of like, it doesn't end here. I'm not starting comedy to end my comedy experience here in Portland. It was like, for me, it was like, I'm going to start here and then I'll be there and then I'll be there. And so it was like, as soon as I can, just start going to those places. And so to like kind of conquer that bull of like, I'm going to go do stand up in Boston and I'm going to do well was like a thing you had to like, I don't know, in my mind, like kind of, it was a thing to overcome.
Yeah. I mean, I remember you doing it and me being like, okay, yeah, that's like, I have to do that.
Yeah.
You definitely like, I was like 22 and your ambition was like really helpful for me to see, honestly.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, no, it really was because I wanted to be a comic so bad. And I think when you're in a smaller scene, sometimes like people are no knock on them, complacent. They feel good about what they're doing. They got a full life. Like that's great.
Yeah.
But I always wanted to go beyond it. And so like seeing you like doing that and also the amount that you wrote and the amount that you worked on stuff, like especially early. I mean, like I can remember like you doing stuff at Mama's Crowbar and it's like every week you hosted that and every week you'd be like, here's like 8 to 12 minutes.
Because that is because I think people think about me more than they do. I think that everybody remembers everything I said. And so I have to come with new stuff, like especially at a regular show.
You were right. I did think about that.
But I would totally think about that all the time of like, I'll do this material again somewhere else, but I can't just show up the next week and say the same shit at the same place. And so I'd think about, I still think that way with when I go back to open mics at fucking parking lots that are happening now, I go back and go, can't do the same 5 minutes I did last week. I got to come up with something different.
It is amazing that you think, my bad. It is amazing that you think like, you think that maybe it'll be different. Like that maybe it will change, kind of like that stand-up will change. But it is like, it's all, and I can remember Tim Farrell telling me this. Tim Farrell, godfather of Portland, Maine comedy.
Oh yes,
telling me he's like,
some might say one of the greatest orators of stand-up comedy classes there is.
Yeah, there is, and I agree. Listen, I learned a lot from him, but I can remember, especially early on, I can remember him telling me, he's like, listen, Portland, you got to leave, but it's a microcosm for everywhere else. And it's the same where it's like when you like we were the same 12 people in that Mama's Crowbar open mic every Sunday. So like you couldn't do the same jokes because we were all there last week and we heard you. And that's the same true with like most of the shows we do now. Where you're like, yeah, well, these are my comic friends. They saw me do this. I can't do this again. I gotta come up with something better. Even though the art is working on the same joke and improving it a lot. It's the same. It's the
What
same
I've
but
been
different.
doing, and have definitely got into a rhythm of, um, and I guess I kind of developed it in Boston too, would be like, I would have like a five, say there's some new joke or new, like even full 5 minutes that I want to do. I would do it at all different places that I knew like you could do. Like here it's really easy because it'd be like I'll do you'll do an open mic on the West Side in like at the West Side Comedy Theater in Santa Monica, and then that same night go across town to Silver Lake and do an open mic, and it's filled with comics and none of them are the same people.
Yep.
Like that's
Yep.
how many fucking
Yeah.
people are out here. And so I'll do like that 5 minutes at all the different places. But then when it comes back to the beginning of the next week, I'll do something different that I'll do it all. So I
Yep.
get to try it a bunch at a bunch of different places that have different type of crowd. But yeah, I just still have that. But I'll see people do the same joke in front of me and work on it and make it better. I just, for some reason, I can't, the way I even tell it, I come off as defeated when I tell
Mm-hmm.
a person I
Mm-hmm.
know has heard the
Mm-hmm.
joke before. I can't fucking sell it to them when I go, we're
Yep.
both lying to each other.
Yeah. Yeah. When a joke is so often an attempt at connection, to be like, yeah, I mean, this is a false
Yeah.
premise. The premise is you've never heard this and I've never told it.
Yeah.
And that's a bad place to start from for a joke.
Or even I'll give you, I've told this before, but definitely you've never heard it.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
that is essential to the way a joke really works, best case scenario.
I don't know why people accept that, but I mean, it's the same way we look at a play, right? Where it's like a play, it's like no one's like, they've never said this before. That's
Yeah.
never a part of your brain watching a play.
No, I
You're just
know.
like, yeah, this is live.
And also with jokes though, I don't know if that's necessary. There's a weird thing that happens, and I think it happens for people at a certain age range. I know definitely for me as like a teenage boy, when I would find out about some stand-up, I
Mm-hmm.
would get
Mm-hmm.
just as much delight out of showing somebody the joke and being like, isn't this great? But it definitely doesn't make you laugh the same way you did the first time you heard it, but you
Yep.
would still get
Yep.
enjoyment out of seeing other people see it for the first time.
Yeah, because it feels like at that point there is a level of you are being validated by somebody laughing at something that you think it's funny,
That you found.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that you found and that like speaks to you in some way.
Yeah.
And we all like that, I think, still. Like, but when you're 14 or 15, I think it's just like what a relief. I can remember just feeling such a relief when something I thought was funny, somebody else would think it was funny.
Yeah.
And even just finding a comedian who's a live adult in the world telling jokes I liked. I was like, oh, cool. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And
Great.
sometimes like blowing your mind with how they like put shit together and stuff. And now you realize like all the, how comedy's written and stuff and what they did. But when you're a kid and like somebody would do something and, like a callback or something, and you're like, I
No,
forgot he was even talking about that. How did he remember?
the Smothers Brothers are amazing.
All right. So we've going close to an hour now, which means it's time we do this as part of the show. Hopefully it will transfer to the iPad fairly well, but I got some videos that I show people
Great.
just to get your reaction. This after hearing like what how you grew up and stuff. It'll be interesting to see what you think of these.
Oh, great.
So that's my email. Here we go. Get rid of this. Okay. First up.
And do you research these for each guest? I mean, is this personalized? Is this like Jerry Seinfeld with the car? Like comedians getting cars with coffee?
No. These are these videos. It started as just this first one, and then we've added 2 more, and then I have a couple Instagram video clips that I've added in too, and I'm gonna start cycling them out. But it's the same clips to everybody, just to see,
cool.
see how and it's been surprising. because I think of them as funny. I think of them as you know, they're maybe tough to watch, but they're funny. Keep it muted for a second.
Oh no. Why did I say all that stuff about validating people through videos?
But it's not as bad. There's nothing graphic in these.
Oh yeah, great.
After was just ready to come out and start filming. I just wanted to get one more in so I could, you know, just be ready.
Ooh. Oh god.
Bro, my ankles are broken! My ankles are broke!
His ankles are broken!
I got broken ankles!
He's coming, Cole!
Just didn't go fast enough.
So don't
Suck.
keep listening to them. They show a couple of their angles.
Okay.
But you see the
First of
humor in
all-
that. It's a brutal crash, but there's humor
It's
to
a
it.
brutal crash. He's okay, so that allows us to laugh. One.
He's
Like,
okay now. Yes, he
Yeah.
is okay
so we
now.
see that right away.
Yeah.
The idea that you just continue to state a horrific sentence again and again, matter of factly, with like a period, not even an exclamation point on a couple of them. I think
Yeah.
that's inherently funny. And then someone shouting it back to him.
So that is my favorite part, is the hype man of a guy that he has that.
Because at first, when he first says he broke his he broke his ankles or you
He
broke
said,
your ankles?
my ankles are broken. My ankles are broken.
Yeah.
I got broken ankles.
Yeah, which is rule of threes. Very funny.
Yeah. Well, that's what that
but
third
then
one, I got broken ankles after the two. It's perfect, almost perfect comedy writing to go,
Right,
my
and
ankles
that's-
are broken. My ankles are broken. I got broken
Got
ankles.
broken ankles. Yeah. I mean, use of passive voice there. I think that's not our fault if we laugh at that, because that's joke math. So that,
Yeah.
there's nothing about our morality that can be judged by that. But then the guy says he's got broken ankles. Is
Yeah.
that what he says?
He says his
Yeah,
ankles
I
are
mean-
broken. Yeah.
His ankles are broken. And frankly, the tone he took was not go help him. And
No.
only until the end. Only at the end was I like, oh, because he's
Yeah.
telling people to go help.
It was like he
I
said
liked
it in a way of, are we rolling sound?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay. I'm never going to watch that again, but that was funny.
Also, I didn't realize this before now too, but the way he goes, my ankles are broken, my ankles are broken, I got broken ankles. It's like he very quickly accepted it in his life.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And actually, I think if we kept going with that interview, we might have found that to be the case. But
Yeah.
the first two were just sort of him
Yeah.
making sure other people knew. And the
And
second
then he was
one
like,
was just,
I live with broken
I've got-
ankles now.
this is my life moving forward. I've got broken
I'd love to get him on the show. I don't know if he'll ever do it. But I really would love to. I've met him a couple times at
Oh, really?
competitions back in the day. Yeah, just very briefly, but would love to talk to him. All right. Oh, this is a different, wrong video. Can't see this. This will ruin
Okay.
the surprise. Here we go. This is what we need.
Oh, wow.
And if he hits
ABC
that,
7
he's got his
News,
backup
huh?
plan covered.
This is the X Games a few years ago. They were so bad it made local news
Step
clips.
20. Oh, he's got it! Kidding me!
Oh, my God.
Oh man, that was the heaviest slam we've ever seen.
It's bad, but wait for it. You miss it the first
Wow, I
time.
can't
It
believe
takes
this.
seeing the replay here.
Okay.
Right here.
So fast,
To
he's
see the
trying
humor in
adjust
it.
his
Trying to
body.
adjust his feet and just trying to get his
got
board
pitched a
back,
bit
and
forward.
there it goes.
Oh, you saw his board go squarely up the
I
wall.
mean,
15
his
feet up
it's a
and
video
just
game
fell.
glitch.
Shoes.
Another
Both of his
Oh.
shoes.
25
Both
feet down.
shoes.
Oh,
That's the
man.
worst
Oh, yeah,
spot.
it's-
Felt
This
the
is how
ball.
you
He
like.
turns his
You
body
would
and
think
says,
you would
"All
like,
right,"
and
he
then
takes it. His
You would-
shoes.
Um,
Did you see that?
Yeah.
That's how you think a crash would be in the game Skate, where they would just say, and
Yep.
then you died.
Yep.
Yeah, it
Yep.
was a real life one.
So that one, here's the thing. I think I've seen that one. And so
Probably.
a little
It's
bit of
famous,
a loss
yeah.
of shock. It is famous. But I get why they fixated on the shoes, the announcers. I mean, it's like, that's the safest thing to talk about. A man has landed an incredible trick and then debased himself by losing his skateboard. And and you don't want to talk about the potential harm, but I mean, did you even know shoes could
Just shoot off,
far?
Yeah,
And shoes is a funny word.
His shoes.
Shoes is, yeah.
It is too, because that trick that he did is one of the 720 is probably still one of the best tricks that people are doing over the gap. Like, they still have that contest in the X Games, and dudes have gotten up to 1260s on the quarter pipe, which is 3.5 times around. But still, for the gap part, it's like 720s and backflips are the biggest thing people are doing. And that was one of the first dudes to do a 720 like that over that size gap. And so it's amazing that he stomped that and then just immediately looked like a beginner 2 seconds later.
I mean, I don't know what we don't get his post-game interview, but I just got to believe he had been so focused to try to nail that trick. And he did it. And he must have just let up a sec. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. You can see the wobble in his board where he got kicked off, but it's also that, like, yeah, if you lose, focus for a second, something like that might happen. But it's happening so quick that it's difficult to recover in any way sometimes. All right, this last
Also,
one.
why was that? Why is it called, in the first video, it was called Chad's Gap?
That's the name of that jump where they were.
Wow.
It's a famous jump that was in it's in the backcountry in Utah, and it's been in a lot of different snowboard and ski films.
And who's the Chad? I mean, this got to be one of the big wins for any Chad.
I don't know. I mean, of course, in such a very white sport, they would name a gap after it'd be like Chad or Scott's. But I don't know. It might be something of it's either something like the first person who did it, who jumped it, or it's like in a state park or state like wildlands or something that something has to do with Chad. I'm not sure. I'll have to find out. I'll research that. We'll have a follow-up.
Great. Oh boy.
Oh, whoops. I don't want to ruin the surprise on this one. So
that seems like someone broke a bone.
These are two bikers. We finish off with, I'll get a couple other quick things to show you, but couple guys, Matt Hoffman and Dennis McCoy, very talented BMX bikers, and they were practicing they used to do in the X Games doubles half pipe.
Beautiful synchronicity.
Yeah, dude, really getting it down. Somebody got it. Oh God. And so you're going, what's funny about this? This falls into the category of nobody's there to turn off the camera. And it's some of my favorites to see are when
Cinema Realite or whatever. Cinema Verite. Yeah. Oh my God.
It goes on for a while, and then I'll spare you of it gets a little gory. They actually show what happened. So one of the guys, his handlebar turned and stabbed him right in the leg and went. It's a huge gash. They show the gash. It's rough, but he didn't know it because it didn't cut the jeans. It kind of tore his shirt a little bit. Didn't cut the jeans, but totally punctured his leg.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Great denim.
Oh yeah, I've seen it happen with ski poles too. I know a guy who ruptured his spleen and stabbed himself. With the pole flipped around and he fell on it. Didn't cut his jacket, didn't know. He like, it was like, oh, that really hurt. The pole got me. And then like got up and skied down. And by the time he got down, he's like, why is like my leg wet? And he like pulls it up and he's just pouring blood down like his snow pants and shit. It was rough.
Today I cut myself with a butter knife. So
are you an 85-year-old person with paper skin? How did this happen?
It just, well, frankly, I was going to make oatmeal, which hasn't disproved that I'm 85 yet. Steel cut oats, again, very well could still be 85. The tin, unfortunately, the kind that I got was in the tin, and so you kind of got to pop it. It's very old fashioned. It's not fun. Should just be in a bag. And I thought I could slip the knife in, and instead I just didn't go through, didn't pop the tin. A lot of force though, very strong like my sister, and I just sliced it right open.
So
and
your hand like slipped on the knife and slid down the blade?
Yeah, it's like I was holding the tin with my left hand, and my right hand I was trying to pop it, and it just hand slipped, a lot of force, and but for me, just embarrassing. For the knife though, I mean a real over delivering. I mean, like
I'm good for more than just butter.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's like, hey, don't sleep on me. Don't sleep on me. So
it's
anyway,
it's like this girl right here. I don't know if you can see if this will be jumpy or not.
I can.
But,
oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Could you? Just gets wiped off the planet. That's what it would be like. Like because she's so little. Like the guy probably felt almost nothing. Like he fell, but he didn't feel like he hit anything. He just went,
I mean, wow. An Etch-a-Sketch gone. I mean, that wiped away with a couple strokes right there, but one motion.
There's a couple other fun ones here. Oh, did you see this video that was going around? This always seemed fucking terrifying.
Oh my God.
Kayak guy gets eaten by the whale?
Okay. No. Oh God.
There's they show another side of it. Oh, they have him but it's like all of a sudden all these fish around him and then just, and I think he was fine. I think he got out of it, but it was just like fully encompassed. See what, just,
No, I have nothing to say. That is a nightmare.
Terrifying and like nothing you can do.
No.
Yeah. Oh, and then here we go. I'll end you with one. This one's real fun, and I'm sorry. Sorry about how much.
Oh. Oh no! Oh, he folded.
He folded the wrong way. Oh, I can't.
No.
I have trouble watching that one every time, but it is funny. But oh God, he just folds the wrong way.
The whole wrong way. No one could. That's just surprising that nothing in their body could stop that, because it's so wrong, right?
He was so top heavy though. He was very top heavy. Like I don't think I have enough weight on the upper part of my body to do that to my legs. But his legs were so skinny and he had just had so much weight that he could not stop it.
And, but also, is it possible that his legs actually, if they had been weaker, might have helped him? Because they wouldn't have stood against it a little bit?
Maybe they would have bent the proper way. He just would have fallen out.
He would have fallen just right away. But instead, his body gave a little more fight. And
only from about, what was that, maybe 3 feet in the air?
Yeah, that was not a lot.
Yeah, for anybody listening at home, it's also a fun clip you might have seen. It's a guy jumping from the second rope of a wrestling ring, and he does a 180, lands, and both of his legs just fold the opposite way, and he falls over like Like one of those old toys that you push, it just falls over, and then you let go and it stands back up again.
Yeah.
That was about what he had.
He's never
Well,
the same.
I'm
And,
glad to leave
neither
you with
will I.
that visual.
Oh, man.
You want to tell people where to find you and if you got anything coming up?
Yeah. Listen, find me on Instagram, Lucas M. O'Neill, and also have a mailing list. You can go to my website, sign up. I'm working on a couple of things that are going to be coming out soon. I'd love to tell you about.
Oh,
I
excellent.
don't.
Yeah. Follow him on Instagram, and any other type of videos like you see that, send his way. And
Please slide into my DMs with horrific, jarring accidents.
all right, man. Thanks for doing this.
This was so
I got to
fun,
run,
yeah.
and thanks a lot for being on.
Of course. Thanks for having me. It was great.
Talk to you later, buddy.
All right. I'll talk to you later, man.